everyone, welcome back to Mele and Mo'olelo. Today, this morning, I wanted to reflect once more on the word ʻOhana, and of course the ʻOhana Nui, the extended family and the community. And I would like to share this story with this song called E Ku'u ʻOhā. E ku'u ʻOhā, e ola e nakamana ai I hana ai ia oe e ai a maona e ku'u ʻOhā. Ana hou. E ku'u ʻOhā. E ola e nakamana ai I hana ai ia oe e ai a maona e ku'u ʻOhā e ku'u ʻOhā e ola he vai nui ka ike kupuna e inu a kena e ku'u ʻOhā e ku'u ʻOhā e ola he vai nui ka ike kupuna e inu a kena e ku'u ʻOhā e ku'u ʻOhā e ku'u ʻOhā e ola e hanu I ke ola a ke aloha mai nā kupuna mai mauli ola kako e ku'u ʻOhā e ola e hanu I ke ola a ke aloha mai nā kupuna mai mauli ola kako e ku'u ʻOhā e ku'u ʻOhā And I wanted to use this particular mele to reflect again our lecture this morning because it really is the foundation. It truly is the foundation of what I'd like to lecture about this morning. So if you look at the words, it says, e ku'u ʻOhā, e ku'u ʻOhā, my child, eola, to have life. Nakamana ai I hanaya ia oe. So the mana ai is that food that is chewed by the kupuna, and that food is fed mouth to mouth from kupuna to mo'opuna. E ai amaona, eat until you're satisfied. E ku'u ʻOhā, my child. Why is that important? In understanding the word ʻOhana, family, and ʻOhana Nui Community. Well, from the essence of the kupuna, from the ike of the kupuna, from the wealth of the kupuna, comes the mana ai. And the mana ai only comes from the kupuna. The mana ai is everything that the child, the mo'opuna, is going to have spiritually, mentally, and physically. The gift of everything in the mana ai that comes from the kupuna. From kupuna to mo'opuna. And the cycle of mana ai repeats itself over and over again when a kupuna, through the process of mana ai, not only feeds the mo'opuna, but sustains the growth kupu process of that mo'opuna. As the mo'opuna goes from keiki to opio to makua, and until finally they reach kupuna. And then that cycle is repeated again. Ai amaona, eat until you're satisfied, satisfied with the mana ai, the essence, the transference of ha, the breath. The mana ai, the nurturing of spirituality, the nurturing of the mental processes, the nurturing of the physical body that comes from the mana ai of kupuna. The second verse again, e ku'u ʻOhā eola, my child live. He vai vai nui ka ike kupuna. You see, the knowledge that comes from kupuna. After generations and generations and generations of the cycle of mana ai is transferred from kupuna to mo'opuna, from kupuna to mo'opuna. That mana ai becomes the mana. The mana, the authority. You see, kupuna is transferring all of this to mo'opuna. And along with that comes the ha, the breath. And with the ha, the breath, comes the olelo. And when the kupuna sings to the child, e ku'u ʻOhā, e ola e, nakamana ai, I hanai ai, ia oe, e ku'u ʻOhā. The transferring is beginning. The child receives all of these positive energies, these essences that come from the kupuna because they have lived a long life, they have experienced a lot, they know and understand a lot. They were raised by kupuna, so they know how to transfer. It is only a kuleana in the pono of kupuna. It belongs to no one else. And this is why, one of the reasons why, that kupuna are highly respected and highly honored. Because when there is a break in that tradition, then the tradition not going to exist. If kupuna are no longer in charge of raising children, if kupuna are no longer actively involved in the transference of mana'ai, then no more mana'ai. Then our mo'opuna are out there without the essence of their kupuna. You see, how does that work? How do we understand that? Well, we have to go back to the very ancient story of the creation of man. You see, in the creation of man, that took place in He'eia at Pu'u Hawaii Iloa. So, it begins when the Puku'i Akua, Ku, Kanelono, and Kanaloa gather at Pu'u Hawaii Iloa, and they take the sands of Kahakaha'ea, Ke Onekea o Kahakaha'ea. They take the Lepo Alaya from Pu'u Hawaii Iloa, from Mololani. They take the Lepo Ha-Uli Uli, the gray-blue dirt. They take the Lepo Ha-Ele-Ele, the black dirt, and they form this figure. You see, no ke akua ka'aina, the land came from the akua. No ka'aina na kanaka, and the kanaka were born from the land. So, when they had finished forming from Papa, Mother Earth, this figure, they needed a way to secure every grain of sand and dirt. And it was done with the mana'ai. Whose mana'ai? From the god Kane. You see, the god Kane took from his mouth his vaina'o, his saliva, and he mixed it with the grain to secure it. Essence, transference, intelligence, enlightenment that comes from the mana'ai and olelo. So when the image was complete, the god Kane said, "Eola, you have life. Eku, I command you to stand." And thus, Kane Hulihonua was created. And when he stood, he cast a beautiful shadow on the Aina, once again on Mother Earth, on Papahanau Moku. And from that shadow, that Aka, they created the first woman. Her name was Ke'aka Hulilani. Now there are many creation stories. But because I'm from He'eia, hānau ia no I He'eia, hānai ia no I He'eia, and nourished, hānai ia no nakamana'ai o ko'u mau kupuna, by the mana'ai of my kupuna from He'eia. Then I'm going to share with you this story in its relationship, in reference to mana'ai. And as we partake of mana'ai from the waha, ona mea ai I mama ia I loko o koha o nā kupuna, a hana ia no I koha o na mo'opuna, the transference takes place. And then we, through partaking of mana'ai, increase our mana. You see, this is very, very important in understanding how community works here in Hawaii. How connections are so very, very important. So when it says, e ʻOhā e ola, he waiwai nui ka ike kupuna. You see, the kupuna's ike, knowledge, enlightenment is of such great value. Vai, multitude of water. You partake of the mana'ai, and as you partake of the mana'ai, you partake of the vai nui o ka ike o nā kupuna. So e inu, drink a kena until you're satisfied. E inu a kena. Finally, the third verse says, e ku'u ʻOhā e ola. My child, my grandchild, live. E hanu I ke ola. Breathe in life. Ke ola a ke aloha. The life that comes, that was created through aloha. O ke aloha no ka mea iho ola ai. Life is created through aloha. That's what our kupuna said. He vai nui ke aloha na kākou I pulama iho ai. Aloha is of such great value, and in order for it to continue to exist, we have to work together. We have to take responsibility as ʻOhana and ʻOhana nui to ensure the tradition continues. A maoli ola kākou, that we have good health, good spiritual health, good mental health, good physical health. O ia no ka olelo o nā kupuno ka wā māmua, ka lako mālama mai ana ia o ku wā kama iki no. Mālama no lako, hana iho no lako, ia o me ka māna ai. Me ka vai o ka ike, inu a kena, hanu I ke ola, ka ha o lako, I ka olelo aku ka olelo mai. Me ke ia ha, ho onui no, ho o ikaika no, ka mana o nā kupuna me nā mo o puna no, maoli o la kākou. And that is the way that it was done. If there is a break today in this tradition, then truly there is disconnection. And this is why, for me, and I speak for myself, it was very important to be able to be a part of the raising of my grandchildren, so that they would all have opportunity and chance to be nourished with the ma'ana'ai, with the vai o ka ike o nā kupuna, me ka ha o ka olelo me ka wahamai o nā kupuna. This is why these things are important. You cannot get the ma'ana'ai I ke kula kie, I ke kula nui a ole. You can only get ma'ana'ai no ka waha o nā kupuna. You can only get vai ike o nā kupuna I ka inuana no ke lawai, inua kena no. You can only inhale the mana, the breath, o ke ola of life from your kupuna when you are constantly in the presence of your kupuna. When they puliki and they hanu aku hanu mai, and you inhale that breath. That is the only way. And then if again I say, if there is disconnection, pilina ole, then we have to ho'oponopono that. We have to fix that. Ho'oponopono apono. Ho'oponopono apololei. Because as long as we don't take the time and the opportunity to ho'oponopono our own olelo and our own traditions, that disconnection goes farther and farther away. Think about it all. Think about roles and responsibilities of kupuna. Think about the traditions of mana ai and vai vai nui o ka ike and hanu and ha. These are very, very important. So how does that all impact then our understanding of community here in Hawaii? The ʻOhana is this cooperative system of roles and responsibilities. Everyone in the ʻOhana had a role and a responsibility. Keiki, kamaiki, ʻōpio, mākua, kupuna, all contribute to ʻOhana. Everyone can do something to make ʻOhana, ʻOhana. You see, you cannot be moloa, lazy. You cannot be pi, selfish. The foundation of aloha, the foundation of ʻOhana is aloha. I don't know if you remember the story of the coconuts and how the kupuna gauge exactly what everyone can do and at what level. So if you look at the keiki, right? The keiki can carry one coconut, right? Maikai. When the keiki can pick up that coconut and walk around, that tells the kupuna, okay, this keiki is ready to do work. So okay, e ku'uma opuna hele oi I ka pāhale, ohi ina o pala. Ina lau I malo o ia no, hele ohi ina lau, ohi ina pua I maino, kokua no ia u, kokua no ia tutu. Go into the yard, pick up the dry leaves, pick up the dry flowers, go gather all these things. Kokua mai o ia o I ka ho'omai no o ka hale. Palumi I ka moina, polumi I ka papahele, help me to sweep the bed and of course the floor. And it begins, you see, because kupuna is guiding that process, right? That is gauged by when they look at, okay, how much the child can do. Now as a child gets older and can carry 2 coconuts, or now the child, probably reaching opio, teenhood, can do more work. Again though, what the kupuna is teaching is roles and responsibilities to the ʻOhana. Cooperatively working together to the strength, making contributions to family. Well, the teenager can carry, of course, 2 coconuts, so now you can get more kuleana, more responsibility, plenty kuleana because you're bigger now. One being, okay, you have to watch your younger brothers and sisters. That's a good mental kuleana. But then, when we have to carry heavy things, you gotta come and kokua mai nei ya mākou. So, the tasks, the roles, the responsibilities get bigger and you get more. All right, then you come to the level of mākua. Well, at that level, mākua have a lot to do. They have a lot of responsibilities, and they have to serve, of course, the kupuna, assist the kupuna, and at the same time, watch over the opio, and then watch over the keiki. When it comes to discipline, that becomes part of the kupuna's kuleana, and the kupuna at the top tells everybody what to do. Roles and responsibilities of kupuna. Well, because the kupuna is the closest thing to an aumakua. A living kupuna represents every aumakua and every ancestor. So when you look at your kupuna and you do not see them as the ali'i of that family, the caregiver, the caregiver with love of that family. If you do not see your kupuna as the living representative of every ancestor, of every aumakua, if you do not regale them, honor and respect them in that way, then there is a great disconnect. If you do not honor and respect every kupuna, then again, there is a great disconnect. So, at a funeral for one of my cousins that had passed away, one of my cousins said to me, "Oh, you're the oldest now." And at first I said, "Oh, wow." But when I thought about it, that's a lot of responsibility to represent, and then to teach what is proper, appropriate, pono, the order within our tradition. And again, if there is a disconnect within our people about our culture and our traditions, our ha, our mana'ai, our vaivai o ka'ike, then that's our kuleana to go and make things right. Or else as we journey into the future, we're going to continue to let that rift of disconnection continue. Then ask yourself, with the traditions of our kupuna, how much of them are we? The growth, the kupuana, is important because you grow from kamaiki into opio, you grow from opio into makua, and you grow from makua into kupuna. The root of kupuna is kupu, to grow, kupuana. And even at our age, there is still room for growth. We learn, but the learning today is quite different. The learning today comes through the akaku, the ulaleo, the ho'ailona, the communication with aumakua, because we're close to them now. So they give us messages, and then we have kuleana to interpret the messages to the family, to try as best as we can to impart the ike, knowledge, no'eau, skill, au malama enlightenment that comes through the relationship with aumakua. This word ali'i, earlier I said, if you don't see your kupuna as the ali'i of your family, as the ali'i of all families, then there is a disconnect, right? I said that. Well, traditionally, those that were destined to become rulers were not raised in a royal court. They were not raised, let's use a term, with a silver spoon in their mouth. They were not raised with entitlement. They were not raised with arrogance. Let's be very clear. The word ali'i is kindness. And so our ali'i were raised in the country. They were removed from the court and hidden out with country families, with the maka'ai nana, so that they would learn to work hard, so that they would learn, know, and understand what their people had to endure They had to learn fishing. They had to learn farming. They had to learn how to cultivate. They had to learn so many things. Things that you would learn later on in life, but you were sent out there to learn compassion, empathy. You were not raised in a royal palace. You were raised in a community of people working together, learning together, making contributions together for the betterment and progress of the ʻOhana, the family, and the ʻOhana Nui, the community. That's really, really important, and these words are important because the words connect us to the traditions. You see, always close to the words, always close to the traditions. When we disconnect to the words, we disconnect to the traditions. So it's very, very important that we ho'omau continue me ka'olelo Hawaii with our language. Because ayano I ka'olelo Hawaii ka pono, in our language is the pono, the order of all things. That's important. Lele kalupe I ka pola, the head of the family, the head of a business, the head of an organization, like the kite, can only fly as high as the kite, as a tail, the pola, as the tail will take it. Lele kalupe I ka pola. So the kite can only go as high as the tail. So if we use it like government, yeah, as an example, so here we have the governor, and then we have the legislatures, and then we have department heads, and down the line, right? So the governor being the head, and then the tail being all the different offices, right? So as long as the kite is going up, the tail supports the kite and pushes it up, right? But you see, the kite fly into the sky. Symbolic of the sky is the domain of our akua. The sun, the moon, the stars. Vakia, kalani, papa, kahonua. And when you think you're all that great and you're flying higher and higher, and then suddenly the kite nosedive, well, that's you too. That's you too. So you took everybody up, head of state. You can take them down, head of state. Similar to the role and responsibility of kupuna in the ʻOhana. We get plenty kuleana to keep everybody connected, to keep everybody focused, to be truthful, to set good examples, good role modeling, to be able to teach, to transfer. That's big kuleana for kupuna. But if the family, the ʻOhana, the community, the ʻOhana Nui, is pushing the leader higher and higher, the leader now has this great responsibility to make sure that everybody is in alignment, everybody has kuleana, correct kuleana, everybody is pono, and everybody is connected to akua. Everybody is connected to aina, and everybody is connected to one another. Lele kalupe I ka pola. And that we continue, yeah, as leaders of family, to teach those values, those traditions that support ʻOhana family, ʻOhana Nui community, being responsibility of everyone. You cannot come to one community in Hawaii and just assume, oh, I'm part of the community. I've been here for 5 years. What is that? The community is going to ask you, well, what did you do in those 5 years? What were your contributions? How many times did you contribute? When did you contribute? You see, because in Hawaii, we get deep
foundations. You see, when you say I've been here for 10 generations, you're saying you and your family have been connected to Hawaii for 200 years. Even if you say 5 generations, that's 100 years. So all the newcomers, the newbies, the transplants, I don't know what you guys call them, but you get plenty of time to grow in the community. You shouldn't come in the community and take leadership roles and responsibilities. Not your time yet. You get plenty growing to do. You get plenty learning to do. You get plenty contributions to make. Yeah. You gotta grow into your dedication. You gotta grow into your commitment. You gotta grow into your roles and responsibilities because you're not that yet. It takes time. It takes patience. And it takes aloha to exist as a cooperative member of that community, no different than a cooperative member of that family. Island people, when they meet, first and foremost, they want to talk about connections. What school you went, where you would live, how long you guys lived there, who's your family, who's your parents, who's your uncle, who's your auntie. That's the way we operate within ʻOhana family and ʻOhana Nui community. Because unless we can see that we are connected, that relationship is going to take a lot of building. Connections, pilina. Kapilina akako ke kahi. How we are connected to one another. At the end of that discussion, though, going to be about what contributions were made. And they can talk that way because 5 generations, 100 years, 10 generations, 200 years, 15 generations, 250 years. And it goes, for some people more than that. We come from 25 generations, so I'll let you figure that out. So when you talk about, I have a role and responsibility, or I should speak, yeah, you do. But you need to stand at the end of the line of the people that are invested, grounded, founded, established after 25 generations. And this conversation can go on and on and on because I can reflect on so many reasons why we're disconnected from this tradition. Ike aku, ike mai, recognize, know, and understand. Pili aku, pili mai, to be connected, genealogy, stories, histories. Kokua aku, kokua mai, to help when help is needed. Aloha aku, aloha mai. Aloha is what creates life. Aloha is everything we are in Hawaii. We exist and we continue to exist because of aloha. Ha'awi aku, ha'awi mai, to share. You know, I get a big kick because all these people that we moved to Kaneohe during COVID and bought all these properties, and the people before them had planted all these citrus trees and avocado trees, and now they're selling them. Where the people before them used to give it all away because that was what community was, sharing, making contributions. But as soon as they come here, their investment is in money. Our investment is in relationships and contributions with different people. We are different people. Ka ko'o aku, ka ko'o mai, support, how we support one another in everything. You know, I get your back. that kind of attitude, how we support one another in all of the things that we do. Pela iho la kanohona ʻOhana is what our kupuna would say, and this is exactly what I'm speaking about. This is how we live together. This is how we strengthen and grow. And the answer is, aloha aku, aloha mai, what we bring to the community. Never what we take from the community. What we bring to the community makes us members of the community, cooperatively working together to make community what community is. And I'm going to say aloha ahui ho kako, and thank you for listening in this morning to Mele and Mo'olelo, taking the very foundation of family, ʻOhana, the tradition of the māna'ai, kupuna's role and responsibility in nurturing, feeding children, vai o ka ike, ka no'e au, a me ke au mālama, and how the kupuna give drink to their mo'opuna, to drink of the knowledge, the skill, and the enlightenment. And of course, the hanu aku, the hanu mai, how they share that breath through the olelo, to be a great part of the ike, the knowledge, the no'eau, the skill, and the ao malamalama, the enlightenment. Until our next time we are able to get together, mahalo anui loa ka ko na ke akua no ka mālama mauno me kona aloha nui, aloha.